Ladies and gentlemen, in 1961, the world's greatest comic magazine was created, the Fantastic Four. As you can see, this is the first cover of the very first issue of one of the greatest superhero teams ever to be made. The first family of Marvel Comics, and my top characters on my list of superhero characters, they always come in at number one, followed by the X-Men, the Avengers, and the Justice League. As far as the single heroes go, Spider-Man will always be my number one, and number two will be Superman. But this is about the Fantastic Four. They are one of the world's greatest superhero teams ever made, and they have been a mainstay in Marvel for many, many a decade. Created by Stan the Man Lee and the irreplaceable Jack Kirby, his talent as an artist, the Fantastic Four jumped onto the scene. Superheroes like no other. They were a family. Reed Richards, the leader, Mr. Fantastic. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. Benjamin Grimm, the Thing. And last but certainly not least, Susan Storm Richards, the Invisible Woman. Also one of the most powerful members of the team. Sorry, Benny. Or I should say Benji. The Fantastic Four have gone up against many threats, cosmic and domestic. They've met such characters as the Silver Surfer, the Planet Eater Galactus, even faced off against former heroes turned villain, turned hero again, Namor, even Magneto. They fought them all. But the most recognizable villain of all in the pages of the Fantastic Four is most definitely Dr.Doom. None have become a bigger threat than Dr. Doom himself. Appearing first as a villain in the pages of the Fantastic Four, Doom went on to become a villain throughout the entire Marvel Universe, and still to this day is considered one of the most incredible and most famous villains in the pages of Marvel comic books history, especially to me and other fans as well. Through the pages of Marvel comic books, we've seen many tales be told. The writing was good back in the day, now not so much. But with the Fantastic Four, it was very different. This team didn't just agree on everything. No, quite the contrary. These guys didn't get along sometimes. Like a true family, they had arguments, disagreements that also caused fights sometimes, especially between the Thing and Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, you can see here. And many times Reed Richards and Susan Richards had to stop these two from killing each other so that they can save the world. But through the arguing and bickering, through all the numerous hardships that the Fantastic Four had to face, such as Dr. Doom and other enemies, we were there. The fans were there for everything. From the revelation of the Inhumans, to Reed Richards' wedding, to Sue Richards. We were there. Also of note, the Black Panther made his debut in the pages of Fantastic Four. This prince, who would later become the king of Wakanda, an African nation, and also being one of the smartest people on Earth. T'Challa, known as Black Panther, would make his debut, facing off against the Fantastic Four before going after one of his true villains, Claw, who also fought the Fantastic Four numerous times throughout the 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. There were actual times when the team broke up because the arguments got too out of hand and everybody felt like they had to go their separate ways. And at one point, even She-Hulk took the place of Benjamin Grimm, the Thing. There was a time when Sue Richards herself became a villain. There was a time when she also, since she was attracted to Namor the Submariner, had an affair with him. All of the members of the Fantastic Four have different mindsets, they have different personalities, they have different skill sets and abilities. But the most tragic character of them all is Benjamin Grimm. Because despite the other three being able to turn their powers on and off, Ben Grimm is stuck looking like a rock creature. He's the most sympathetic character of them all, and he takes it in stride despite his appearance and many people treating him differently because of it. He still perseveres as a hero, even though he's one of the most tragic heroes in the group. And he's also one of my favorite characters as well. There is so much that I can say about this team, so much that I can talk about, because the Fantastic Four has a very huge and rich history. Despite having some of their newer books be written by people that really can write stories well, I tend to go back to the classics, the 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s, because those were the best stories being told for the Fantastic Four, before all this woke drama began. But the characters will never die. I'll remember Dr. Doom as a threat that he is, because he always has been a threat. I'll remember the Fantastic Four as being one of the most incredible family teams out there, who don't get along all the time, but always get along and get the job done when the time has come for them to win and fight to protect the world. They may bicker, they may argue, but when time comes to fight for the world, to save it, they put their differences aside and they win the fight. For me and many other people, the Fantastic Four will always be our favorite. We always have that favorite team, that favorite hero in the pages of comic books that we love. I grew up with the Fantastic Four throughout the 80s as a child and into adulthood. I haven't read the newer stories because they've gotten really stale over time, but I enjoy playing the video games with these characters. I enjoy reading the old reprints with these characters. I also bought the 2005 cartoon that was on Cartoon Network a long time ago. And I also have the 90s series on DVD, which adapts some of the stories from the comics. It's almost hard to believe it's been about 60 years since these characters have been, I should say, have existed in the world. But they're still going strong because there's a fan base out there for them. There's a fan base out there for every character that you know and love. So thank you, Stan Lee. Thank you for giving us these amazing characters, especially Spider-Man, that we could look up to, that we could use our imaginations and pretend that we're in the same world with them. Thank you, Stan, man. We appreciate it. I love the Fantastic Four, and I always will. Thanks for watching. Even if this video doesn't have a lot of views, I like to share my passion of comics, my passion of things that I love, and this is one of them. Fantastic Four is always going to be my favorite team no matter what. I'll take that to the grave.